Yep. I'm gonna bring it through. I've seen a couple right there. That's actually where I just caught that other one. I'm gonna bring this right through them. Oh, piece of wood there or something. I thought it was gonna load. That's why I was kind of. You don't know though, man. I mean, I guess on here I just gotta assume that it's a fish because there's not that much to hit on.
Kind of remarkable stuff to watch Paul Mueller having this magical part of the day here. We've not seen that many big ones put into that small a window of time. It's just been remarkable. Here we go, Hank Cherry.
Could you imagine if this tournament was a week later with the offshore guys? From what you're seeing right now? So think about that.
I think he's about 15. Yep. That's two.
One more look at that one from Hank Cherry just moments ago. Flipping fish, what he relied on yesterday. Kind of looking that way again today.
Got a text from Steve Bowman also saying that Steve Bowman saying Combs is getting bit every single cast right now, every throw.
Smallmouth day.
Yeah, they'll be biting someplace this wind. Creates a lot of current on a big lake like this. And first cast of the crankbait on the spot, I knew I hit something and come in with scales, bass scales on my crankbait. And then I couldn't get another bite there, so that's surprising. I thought they were gonna be chewing.
Camera cleaning water splashing around out there today. Our man Westfield are going to earn it today. And if Kevin VanDam can make the century mark today, it'll be one of the hardest 100-pound days we've ever
No
seen
doubt.
out here.
No doubt.
Hardest one.
Low numbers.
Low numbers.
Low
yeah.
numbers for VanDam.
Wow.
Jeez.
I'm going to try to get with Ron Moore and see if we can get a little closer to what Chris Lane has, just to see if we're fairly accurate on weights.
Ballpark on that. Chris Lane, very close to our
I ain't
leader
leaving
right
for a
now.
while. I'm just going. They're here. I'm gonna catch.
Seen some great fish catches from Chris Lane. I wish we were on him as well. But boy, things are popping a little bit for Paul Mueller.
Jesus.
East northeast wind. Really, it's got more. Appears to have a lot more east in it today. But where Mueller started this morning, I mean, there was rollers coming
yeah.
into him across from our takeoff.
I don't think the right cast.
Had to be 10 plus on the wind at that point.
Jeez.
See, Kevin VanDam's pretty much led this from the beginning of the tournament. Been a steady rise from Paul Mueller through this event, who needs a good event looking at his
been a
Angler of
little
the Year
rocky
standings.
on a
No
season
doubt.
for him.
And what was interesting is he said, look, man, I have no doubt in my mind, bar none, hands down, been on two different groups of fish, one at Winya Bay and one at the Bull Shoals Norfolk event, that he goes, can look at my standings and say, wow, I've had a tough year. I've had a tough year with making really, really good decisions. Finding fish just hasn't panned out.
The third man we've been seeing in this wheel of pictures here is Hank Cherry. He's had a good season. Only missed one cut. Bull Shoals, and he only missed that by a couple of spots. So Hank Cherry on a comeback year, and he talked about that at length with us yesterday. The changes he's made, changes in what goes on upstairs.
Yeah, I know. I wonder why they don't do it for like ours.
It'd be handy for when you're fishing.
Sure would. No, there ain't nothing.
I think it'd be a good
It is rough.
situation.
Kevin VanDam going for his 21st victory there on the left. Paul Mueller fishing in his 21st ever Bassmaster tournament. So we got the spectrum covered here pretty well.
Hey, we covered the topic earlier in the year.
Throw the old 10
There
through
has
there
been
just to
people
keep 'em
saying,
honest.
there was an I think Wright might have written it. People say, will VanDam ever win a tournament again? I think Skeet Reeson was quoted. Am I right?
And
Such?
Davey Height. Davey Height was like saying that he had somebody mention that to him, and he just thought it was a ridiculous statement. That, what do you mean KVD will never win another tournament? Davey Height defended his friend and is looking pretty correct.
But look, from a statistical standpoint, you are insane to think the guy will not win one more.
Yeah,
just the law of averages.
It's
Go ahead,
been
Steve.
52 tournaments since he won the 11 Classic. No wins in those 52 tournaments.
Wow. Know what that music means, Tommy.
Got to take a break. We're a little late
He's
taking
due.
this break. We've had some compelling stuff there from the likes of Paul Mueller and Kevin VanDam getting out there, set up for his offshore assault that will take place for the rest of the day. No telling what that's going to bring. Chris Lane, do not count him out.
Paul Mueller,
Very, yeah, Paul Mueller. He's 35 pounds, like he said. I'm right in this thing. We'll see what happens when we come back. Take a break right now. Take a look at Chris Lane right now.
Against the best fishermen in the world, you really have to target big bass, and that's really what I've been targeting all week. And you know, we'll see if we can put 5 in the boat tomorrow. I don't know that I'll lose. I don't know that I'd ever move over to Louisiana, but you know what? It's beautiful here at Toledo Bend. The lake is in fantastic shape. The water's up and the bass are biting, and man, it's just a really fun lake to fish right now.
69 pounds even.
You're watching the
And
ARE
Chris Lane
Truck Caps
takes
Bassmaster
the
Elite at
lead
Toledo Bend.
Away
Brought
from
to you
Hank
live
Sherry. It is
by
going to be
Toyota.
a showdown tomorrow, Chris.
Days, it's funny. I wake up in the morning and nothing else matters except where and when my first bite of the day is going to come. We have so much going on at a tournament, getting gear ready, in and out of the truck and the boat, prep and tackle, all that kind of stuff. And probably one of the most favorite pieces of gear or equipment that I've got is my ARE Z Series cap, ARE's premier model, and it's easy to see why.
Come on now.
That one right there.
He's fished here for decades. He knows every hump, every drop-off, every contour. He's dedicated his entire life to understanding this single body of water, and he didn't know squat about it until 2 hours ago. AutoChart Live lets you build your own high-definition maps anywhere in the world in real time. Only from Humminbird.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S today. Since 1968, B.A.S.S has been serving bass fishing enthusiasts with information and tournament coverage that make you a better angler. When you sign up today, you'll join over 500,000 outdoorsmen who love bass fishing. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, B.A.S.S cap, plus more. Call us or log on to Bassmaster.com to join Bass now.
Hey guys, Brandon Polnick here coming at you from Toledo Bend Reservoir. It's a different beast this week. The water is higher than I've ever seen it. It's actually above full pool. Every other time I've been here, it's been extremely low. Changing conditions, the weather has been brutally tough during practice. Windy, bumpy, made it tough to drive around. Tournament time, it's supposed to calm down, lay down, so hopefully that's going to change things. It's been a tough practice. You know, this tournament, it's going to be a gamble. You know, I mean, there's guys that have been fishing Toledo Bend this week that I've got to beat. They've been fishing it longer than I've been alive. You know, so they've got so much history. They've seen the lake in so many different conditions. They can figure things out a lot quicker, make a game plan that's really solid before they even put their boat on the water. Toledo Bend's 185,000 acres. It's a massive body of water, and it's full of standing timber. It's wide open. There's nothing to block the wind, and I think that's really gonna set the tournament up the way that it is, just because guys aren't gonna be able to practice the way that they could if it was dead flat calm. That is not gonna get the job done.
Live coverage of the ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend will return after this short break.
there.
Think you could win valuable prizes from Bassmaster? You can't know unless you enter, and entering is easy. Go to Bassmaster.com.
Enter now for a chance to win a fishing trip with 2014 Geico Bassmaster Classic champion Randy Howell. Trip includes airfare, hotel, rental car, and $500 cash, plus a Triton 17 TX bass boat with Mercury engine, and Randy's gear from Lowrance, Daiwa, Bass Pro Shops, and much more.
You, the winner of a valuable prize, could be. All you have to do to get your shot is go to Bassmaster.com and enter today and every day. Hey, it could be you.
30, 29, 28, tick, tock. 25 years old, and you're still laying in the mud. 15 feet in the air, that's where you feel most alive. 10 meter maids waiting to wallpaper your truck. Better get out of town. 5, 4, 3. The all-new Tacoma. Toyota, let's go places.
You're watching the ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend. Brought to you live by Toyota.
Bassmaster Live, our big final day show here from legendary Toledo Bend Lake. And watching the likes of Paul Mueller catching some great deeper fish. Close to the shore, guys like Hank Cherry flipping and trying to get something big time going here. Any one of them can jump a giant fish at any moment. And we're going to have to send Kevin VanDam back into the X Factor category.
He absolutely is. We have lost signal with the X Factor, Kevin VanDam, Such. We have lost signal.
All right, we're going to scramble all our resources and see. Hey, let's not forget there's another technique that's playing huge out here
Yeah, it's
today.
called Ron Moore going back and kicking that cell tower.
Yeah, with Chris Lane, within sight of Chris Lane. So I'll be hoping we get some Chris Lane here soon.
Sprayed it down good with bang, and they just the bite was just different. They just hit really, really hard.
Okay.
Dang it. Shit. Can't do nothing.
Oh, no.
Stay there. Stay there. Come here. That is the how not to do section of the Bassmasters. Oh my gosh.
Good keeper there for Hank Cherry, despite the close quarters jungle fighting he had to do in there. Had to fight the vegetation as well.
Apologize a little bit for the raw commentary right there, Tommy.
What? I didn't even hear it.
And here, real quick, Tom, we got a report from Ron Moore.
Yeah.
And he says, and this is going to tighten things up on Bass Track, he said Chris Lane has at least 15, probably closer to 16. So if you do a little magical math on Bass Track right now, and just let's say He's got 15 and a half. I'm going to put this very, very,
Virtual
very,
tie.
very, very close right now.
Virtual tie.
I want to give a big shout out to Ron and getting us those stats. Something Steve Bowman actually texted in. He's gang. He's with Keith Combs, and he said, "Really, this is a weird tournament that is
108 guys found it.
somewhat similar to the Wheeler event, where Takahiro was fishing areas where they're coming to him.
They would have caught them because this is what they do.
Okay, areas that
I mean,
they're
I'm the
coming
guy
to
that
him
took the
by
photo.
the minute, like Combs, Mueller, Van Dam, to where Lefebvre was kind of just trying to scrap and stay in it shallow.
Grab the last ones before they back out.
And Bowman made the comment in his text to me. He said, "Look, everything is swimming out to the guys that are fishing offshore. The shad, white bass, barfish, loads of big bass." He said the one saving grace that's going on here for the shallow water guys, even though that shad spawn has kind of petered out through the event, is the presence of the bluegill starting to spawn, which is kind of in some way, shape, or form saving these guys.
Holds them back.
Yeah.
Holds them back for a little bit longer.
And Combs is just like Van Dam said, trying to put himself in areas where there's white bass, barfish, shad, all kind of glommed together.
It's been interesting. I mean, we talked to anglers, and we talked to Dave Mansue on day one when he was there with Dave Mercer, and he said, absolutely, hands down, advantage Van Dam because, like you said, they're coming to him. We talked to Mark Menendez yesterday. Hey, he thinks Van Dam's ploy, what we see Mueller and Keith Combs doing, the riskiest of the possible ways to find a pathway to the victory here. So there's lots of differences of opinion. But I want to ask you this: we had that little mini feature there with Brandon Polinick while we were at break there, and he was talking about
Was that with the slow motion music?
No, that
Chris
was
Mitchell
before.
loves.
What?
Hi, Chris.
What are you talking about?
Chris.
Okay. Well, anyway, Brandon Polinick said, "I'm here fishing with guys who's been fishing here since before I was born and so forth like that." I can't remember any of the events that you and I have watched here where this offshore thing is played like it has before. Is it the timing? Is it the water level? What's going on?
Generally, Tom is.
Tom, I like that.
Is that okay?
Can you just be consistent?
Don't worry.
Okay.
I am.
All right.
I am.
Be consistent.
I am a very redundant human being that annoys myself a lot.
Well,
I know. Yeah, there's
that
others
would be
too.
That would be the.
That's right.
The thing is.
If you really look at let's go off Tennessee River, whether it's Gunnersville or Kentucky Lake or Pickwick, Wilson, all of them, any offshore lake, generally the first 2 to 3 weeks when they start to get offshore is the best, by far the best offshore bite.
And you don't even think we're into it yet here?
No,
not near.
No,
the best.
I really think there's two. I think there's really two things that play here. Number one is I think it's really kind of just beginning, and the other side is I don't think these guys had any time to really exploit the offshore bite with how bad the practice was with winds. I think a lot of these guys are dialing this offshore bite in as this tournament's gone along.
Do you think it surprised some when they arrived on the scene that it was already starting to be in progress, whether or not they could exploit it or not? They came down loaded for this.
No doubt.
Okay.
No doubt.
All right, good.
Generally, if you get the letter M, being May, if you get the beginning of May, there are fish headed out there, and there are some that have already been out there that spawned all the way back in January.
We just in our experience here, we just never really hit that too hard. Maybe 2012 as close as we.
And the other side is real quick. The other side is here what we have, what you don't see on this lake compared to. By the way, Keith Combs just literally seconds ago caught another 6-pounder. Another 6-pounder. We're going to try to get an unofficial weight. The other side of the offshore deal here is these aren't those freak 300 fish schools. At least right now we haven't seen that. really that you see on the Tennessee River kind of deal. If you really look at what we've seen on Toledo Bend so far, like VanDam would catch a 12-incher, a white bass, a barfish, and then an 8-pounder. You know what I mean? It's been what you hear Rick Clunn talk about.
It's not like those ledge deals in that respect.
It's not where they consistently just group up in one size. It's been really, really mixed together, if that makes sense. Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, Mansu, before the event started, told me it's going to be that deal where you can get maybe 1 or 2 from each spot and have to move again on the offshore spots.
Okay. Well, the only person not doing that's Keith Combs. Bowman just texted in. He's got 24 pounds, and Combs just said, I'm going to have 30 today.
That's going to make it interesting.
That's going to make it very interesting.
Very interesting. What of interest is going on the Bass Bluff, Mike Suka? We got any pictures?
There's
show
pictures
these people?
of plenty.
Of people catching big fish?
There's several.
I
nice.
actually received a picture from somebody today, a NASCAR superstar. We're going to throw that up here a little bit.
Okay.
Got a Brett Height right here. Wearing slacks, actually. Edwin Evers. Tom Biffle.
Whom Mark Menendez told us to watch out for today and yesterday.
Got an Andy Montgomery pick right here.
What a
Good
great tournament he has had.
Great tournament.
Man, fantastic. There's your guy right there who could be a troublemaker.
He is a troublemaker.
Morzo, a good tournament for him. Top 12 finish for Morzo Shimizu. And
there it is.
Hey, there's Eric Kafka.
Listen, Eric Kafka, Chris Lane right there.
Hosting the talk show.
Yeah, they're a talk show together. And they're, like I said, there's a frightening similarity. Both of these fellas on and off the water.
That picture was tailor-made. They heard your comment and took that picture.
Great guys right there.
Boy,
that was in the photo
them.
Gallery. Ryan Newman.
Yeah.
Sent that in this morning. Said
there
you go. Said he was watching Bassmaster live doing a little fishing. Is he throwing a white swim jig too?
Could be. While we're vaguely on the subject of motorsports, can I tell
Please.
you something that's a little embarrassing?
No.
Yet I need to pass on to you and the rest of the listening. I watched
Tom?
a great movie last night.
Go.
Motorsports-related movie.
Yeah.
It's a documentary, and you maybe have seen it. I think it aired on Spike, maybe originally. It's called I Am Evel Knievel. If you haven't seen that, check that out.
I hate for you to be the spoiler, but give me something. Why? Because I'm not a motorsports guy.
Just because there's nobody ever been like this guy, and it's fascinating.
How so?
He just invented that Evel Knievel character and totally inhabited it the rest of his life. He was a little hubcap stealing criminal in Butte, Montana, or someplace like that, and he turned into this guy. And you just need to watch it.
The Randy Macho Man Savage of motorsports.
Oh, far more than that.
Really?
Way more interesting than Randy Savage. Yes. You need to watch it.
Area right here. Same thing, main leg point. See if we can't call one up. I thought the wind might start to lay down. I mean, I know it's only 10 o'clock. We did get a bonus fish. It seems like 10:30 has been the magic number with things. But with that wind howling, we might try to put 20, 25 pounds in the well and see what happens, because I'm sure it's very hard to fish that deep stuff right now. They might be blasting them out there. I don't know, but I got to do what I think is best to give me a shot to win. And a 7-pounder would really make that decision for me.
We're frozen.
All right,
Tommy.
Still waiting for some more pictures from Kevin VanDam.
I want to thank you for that Evel Knievel info.
I'm sorry, I had to throw that in. That made too quick a transition from Ryan Newman. He loves to fish.
There is no reason to be sorry about that.
I'm sorry. I remain sorry. Paul Mueller, we got a picture of him now.
A lot of times when I'm covering water, I'm looking for like little high spots or, just something to bounce this crankbait off. As I was saying earlier, it's so important to make bottom contact. And a lot of times if I can find, especially in a situation like this where there really isn't that much cover, there is one stump that I got snagged on earlier, and I'm going to try to repeatedly ricochet that crankbait off that stump because it could hold the big one. And a lot of times, I don't think these fish, I guess this morning they were feeding some, But it's, some of the days it's been, I think, a reaction bite more than a feeding bite. And you know, sometimes you have to, the key to crankbait fishing is just making the same cast to that target, you know. And the good thing about it is, like, if you're using the right crankbait, meaning it's goes deep enough and makes bottom contact, you can feel what's going on. So when you feel something in those areas that it's kind of hard to bring the bait through, you're going to want to throw multiple times to that same target. And you're going to get snagged a bunch. I mean, I've lost a bunch of baits this week and got snagged a ton, but you have to. You have to be deflecting off of something to get these fish to trigger. I think a lot of times, and you can see it sometimes on the graph, they'll follow the bait back to the boat. And if the fish is following the bait, as soon as it makes contact with a cover, a lot of times that gets that fish to trigger. It's something that just triggers those fish. So in smallmouth, I mean, I learned that. That's kind of where I started crankbait fishing, is on smallmouth, and they're kind of like, they're one of the easiest fish to catch on a crankbait, and it's a lot of fun. But you learn that a lot of times there's certain things you can do to trigger fish to bite when they're not really that active. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm just taking my time and trying to stay in that 15 to 22, 23 foot range. That's about what I can consistently keep this bait deflecting off of. I mean, once I get it into 15, I'll throw the 6XD, but that 18 to 22 is prime for the 10XD. Like right there, I just bumped off of something. Those fish that I caught too, a lot of them hit right after I hit something. I can't really tell what the bottom is here. You know, this doesn't really have a lot of like real hard bottom areas. I guess it has some hard bottom areas, but it's definitely like the bills on your bait won't get worn, you know. It's not like heavy rock, but you can tell sometimes it's a little bit harder, and that seems like where these fish are at a lot of times. I don't know if it's the yellow or the white bass. Like,
I think off of the other side of that. Yeah.
Zach Spot, Chris Lane caught that giant on day 2 right there.
Yeah, but I think when I finally caught, it might have been down there just a little bit. Who cares? Let's just catch another one. You know, and we'll be back to fish this again today, even if we don't catch one.
Chris Lane put it in perspective a little bit right there for where we are at this point today. We got 5 more hours of fishing coming up here, so there is just no. Oh, hold on.
Well, those two are having a time in that boat.
Oh boy. Get a little extra entertainment for your dollar here.
Got a nice Marshall post that Tommy Biffle has somebody fishing about 50 yards behind him, exactly where he's just fished. He's just kind of shrugged it off, but the Marshall, Gwen Reed, is just kind of, but everybody else has been rather courteous, so just one out of the whole bunch.
How are those Marshalls doing today?
Oh, Tom.
What?
They're doing great.
Oh, good. As suspected, as is usually the case.
Well, I've had him for 3 days in the boat, and I'll say he does sing a lot better. I've had Lionel Richie sung to me. The whole lake is like a ticking bomb. Hey, how does that go again? The whole world's sitting on a ticking bomb.
We're sitting on a ticking bomb.
And it's about to explode. And because that's what he thinks of when he sees this thing in the water. So I've had to. I don't think there's any relation there, do you?
No. Resemblance, though?
Oh, resemblance, of course.
A couple of good-looking guys, that's all I can say.
This water's a little dirty in here, but this is where a lot of the damage has been done, down this grass line right here. And it might not, we might not be here at the exact time. We'll hit it again today. But I think one of the biggest decisions that it's going to be made, you know, I was really planning on fishing some stuff further south today. But the bite up here seems decent right now. Not so sure. And you talk about getting beat going down there, buddy. You're talking probably 5-footers at least out there, I would think, on the other side. And I've got 2 fish that I'd really like to go back to, see if we could get a bite, see if we could get them to bite again, give them a little bit of a break, and maybe get a couple more 5-pounders. Water's got a little bit too much color in it, I think, today. Don't get me wrong, I think they can still see it.
You might see them too at like a 4x4 trucking tractor pull. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Give me something.
No, I think they're both
little cleaner.
auditioning for that Michael Strahan spot.
Oh my gosh.
Keeping the talk show going, I love it. Again, entertainment, that's what we're all about today. Getting it delivered on a platter there from our 2, Chris Lane and Eric Kafka out there is good stuff. What are you doing? What are you,
Nothing.
Are you wandering? You're drifting here?
I did right there.
Getting off subject here. You're getting off purpose here.
Listen, I'm on point, Jack.
Okay, on point. Another guy on point, as he has been all week long down there at Cypress Bend Park. The guy who's going to crank up the weighing at 3:15 Central Time today is our own Dave Mercer on an incredible Lone Star swing. This week and next week, is he not?
He is actually, I mean, between Louisiana and Northeast Texas, Dave Mercer has a new home for the next couple weeks.
Well, he's got him a new guest right now, and a very prestigious one.
Yes.
Let Dave take this over from here.
Thanks a lot, guys, and what a great place to have as your home for the next few weeks in this part of the country, and joined by 7-time Bassmaster winner Mike McClelland, and as we say to all our guests, you know, sorry. I mean, this is just motivation for you to make it in through to Sunday at our next event, because if you don't, you're stuck hanging out with me here at Cypress Bend Park. And a beautiful day, but watching this tournament, Mike, first of all, what shocked you that you saw here in this event?
The biggest thing that shocked me is the guys that are really catching them good this week aren't catching a lot of fish. I mean, generally when you come to Toledo, you find big schools of fish, and you weed around, and you eventually find a school that's got 3- and 4-pounders in it. And that's been the week. Is guys that are catching big weights, they're not catching a lot of fish. And that is the toughest part when you come to Toledo Bend and catch some big ones.
Really seemed to affect about a lot of the anglers who hadn't been here in the past. Justin Lucas said, you know, I don't have a lot of experience here. And pre-fish was just so bad with the wind, it was just almost impossible to figure out the fish. And he kind of felt that the guys that had been here in the past kind of had a bit of an advantage there. And the way that he equated it to, it's like going to Lake Erie, and if it blows for 3 days and the tournament starts and you haven't found them, you still got to figure them out. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that, and exactly what he said is a big deal. The guys that have caught them here good in the past with a lot of experience, Kevin especially, I mean, Kevin has a lot of history here. He's been doing this a long time. He didn't have to pre-fish the places he's catching these fish during the course of the tournament. Now, Paul Mueller doesn't have a lot of experience here. Chris Lane, I mean, anytime you put Chris Lane on a lake that's got a lot of water, vegetation, shallow, cypress trees, an environment he feels like he's at home, he's going to excel. But it was a big deal that you couldn't fish a lot of areas in practice. However, it could have been an advantage because the fish did not get beat on in practice.
Well, right now we're watching Chris Lane live on the water, and Chris Lane in a great position. You know, everybody talking about you're trying to chase down the best bass angler in history. But the thing to remember is Chris Lane, by far the best bass angler over the last 5 years in the Bassmaster Elite Series. And you know, the amazing thing about Chris when you watch him, the evolution of Chris Lane, it's amazing what confidence will do for an angler. You know, a few years before he won the Classic, literally thinking of quitting the sport and moving on, and it doesn't look like he's quitting anytime soon now. Maybe some of you guys wish he would quit.
The thing that is so cool about Chris, and when he won the Classic, I mean, that was when Chris really kind of came out of his shell. I mean, he talked his way all the way through the Classic, and it was like just a big breakthrough. I mean, when you watch Chris fish, he's so relaxed. He's just out there having fun, enjoying himself. And the longer I've done this, I mean, I've been at this a long time, the more you realize that if you're not having fun, if you're not fishing in your element, if you aren't confident, you're not going to excel any day of the week. And Chris goes out there every day with tons of confidence, and I mean, you can see him. He's just going. He's actually goofing off a little bit. He's talking to the camera. He's slinging a whopper plopper, it looks to me like.
He exposed it.
And
there's a whole bunch of people upset that Chris Lane exposed the whopper plopper.
Now, you and I both know that James Watson might have done the whopper plopper a little more justice. Table Rock.
Had an incredible day yesterday, and look. Yesterday, he started firing early and often, and as you said, obviously that lure was exposed by James Watson, but being exposed on a big stage here this week on the Elite Series, does it shock you that a guy's got in this position throwing nothing but a topwater bait?
It really doesn't, just due to the fact of what the weather conditions have done. I mean, that is an absolute giant. But when you look at the fact that the wind blew for 3 or 4 solid days, these fish were kind of hunkered down in a lockdown mode, and all of a sudden it starts slicking off, the wind switches directions, and you can pick a topwater up and cover water. I mean, it's a perfect opportunity to get it done.
Back live with Chris Lane on the water right now, our unofficial leader, of course, the same guy who's led since day number 1, Kevin VanDam. Chris Lane sitting in 2nd place. Keith Combs making a bit of a move and moved into 3rd place. And if Keith Combs comes in and takes this title here today, I think we have to call him the legend killer. I mean, he took a Rick Clunn on Falcon, and now off to a great start here today trying to take out KVD.
You know, and one thing about it, when you look at Keith Combs' history in the state of Texas, I mean, the fact that he has won some of the events that he's won in such a fashion, it's unbelievable, and you never can put anything past Keith. I don't remember exactly how far behind he was today, but the thing about it is Lake Toledo Bend has the bass to allow him to come back and possibly catch Lane VanDam. I mean, he's not really that far out. A 6-pound bite puts him right back in the middle of it.
The amazing thing about this event, we're watching Paul Mueller and Chris now, and it really spoke loudly yesterday when you looked at all of our top 3 and all of them fishing totally different. You had one guy flipping bushes, you had another guy throwing a topwater bait, and another guy fishing offshore, and this is a prime example of it right here. Chris Lane fishing a little shallower and throwing that topwater, and Paul Mueller offshore, kind of fishing very similar to Kevin VanDam or a Keith Combs.
There's no doubt about that, and that is what is cool about Toledo Bend in the state that it's in. I mean, you know, we helped yesterday with the stocking program. When they continue to do things like that for a lake like this, you have that opportunity to come to a lake and catch them offshore, catch them shallow, catch them in so many different varieties of way. It's just an awesome fishery.
Watching Chris Lane make a move right now, and Paul Mueller continues to compete. But one of the things you mentioned about Chris is how calm, and you know, you watch him fish, and it really is just like a guy out for a fun day fishing. And I noticed that with a lot of guys, you know, when they're on them, you know, we talked about it a lot with Skeet last year in Gunnersville. How do you do that? I mean, how do you guys, with all of added to that, you know, a live camera over your shoulder and a guy like Paul Mueller who is not used to that, you got to feel that there's a bit of a learning out process to get used to that pressure.
Definitely is, but the one thing, and I told my Marshall the second day of the event. I mean, he was one of these guys that was not going to say a word unless I initiated some conversation. And, you know, at one point, I finally caught my fifth one, and I think he loosened up a little bit because he knew I was kind of having a tough day. And he said, "You mind me asking a question?" I'm like, "Dude, the more you talk to me, probably the better I fish. When I get relaxed, when I'm just enjoying myself."
Let's listen to Paul Mueller.
I don't know if that's one chasing white bass or yellow bass or not, but that's definitely, when you see yellow like that, that's what we're looking for.
The thing that's cool about what Paul just said, this guy is unbelievable with electronics. And you're out there on these deep schools, when you see what he just saw, you see all those little bitty dots basically, and all of a sudden you see a streak of yellow or green. It's a bigger fish that has run through the school. And I mean, it's inevitable that if you get around that happening enough times in the day, you're going to catch a big one. It's just unbelievable what the technology we have today allows us to do.
Pretty long leader. I might have to play around with the leader size, but right now it's a long leader, probably about 4 foot or so. And I caught one good one on it, I think on day 2, but I really haven't caught many on it. And that drop shot has been the deal for me, to just fill out my limit, and I've caught, you know, a couple good ones on it. Caught that nice 5-pounder yesterday. That got me in. And I'm still marking stuff here, so I mean it just kind of, it's like a light switch when they shut off. But I'm not seeing the school that I saw when we were here, so it's almost like they scatter out. That's why you got to kind of go to the Carolina rig to, you know, there's one real big one down there that doesn't want to chase a crankbait or react to it. Just give them an easy meal.
Paul Mueller has switched up techniques, gone to the old ball and chain. But that, you know, a lot of guys will make fun of that. Not make fun of it as a technique, but it's a weird thing in tournament fishing where guys are like, I don't want to throw that. But it's an incredibly effective technique.
It really is. And I mean, as bad as I hate to say it, just like you said, you hate to admit to chain was what allowed me to catch my limit quick every day. I had these huge schools of fish found, and I could throw crankbaits through them. I could throw a big spoon. I could throw a number of different baits, and they wouldn't react to it. But I could pick the old ball and chain up with a big 8-inch mag, big bite finesse worm, red bug, and they would eat it every throw. I mean, I would literally go from fishing for 30 minutes without a bite, pick up a Carolina rig with a mag finesse worm, and I might catch 20 in a row. They weren't all keepers. There was definitely no giants based on the fact I'm standing here, but they would eat it. And that's what Paul's trying to do. He's trying to get those fish that aren't aggressive, that aren't chasing, to react to something. And, you know, it'll probably pay off for him through the course of the day.
Talk to me about how important that is. Obviously, it's paying off for Paul Mueller. He's got 3 fish in the boat for almost 19 pounds. But how important it is, I think a lot of times recreational anglers, you know, they'll have their favorite lure, their go-to baits, and they'll go to an area, fish that bait, may even catch them. They stop biting, and they figure it's done, and they head in for the day or move to a new spot. Often I'll see you guys, I mean, generally you'll never leave a spot without trying a few different approaches.
That's definitely true. And one thing that I've learned through the course of my years of fishing is fish will definitely react. Paul's got something going on.
You know, that key bite is fixing to happen right now, so if I'm running new water, I want to make sure that I'm in a good bite time when I'm doing it. And I can fish that other stuff later, but the wind's supposed to lay down, and all of a sudden it seems like it's starting to, you know, we had a good little gust there a little bit ago, but it seems like it's starting to lay a little bit, unless we're just behind one of them little banks. Kind of have to take what I'm doing is I'm trying to get my line underneath the cypress tree limbs. You have to cast over the cypress trees and then get your line underneath the limbs. Or skip it. mean, I'm looking at the
Chris
trees,
Lane
and it looks
on,
like it's
on
laying
the
a
water
little
right
bit.
now. And I mean, the question that I got to ask him is why that bait? Why the whopper plopper? You know, there's so many topwater baits in that target big bass. Mike McClellan, what is your answer? And we'll hope to get Chris Lane's answer.
My biggest answer to the whopper plopper and the fact that it is catching big ones is the trend that I'm seeing the last few years is when these fish are exposed to something new that they haven't
Well, you
seen.
know, I sat
that's
here,
what makes a difference.
and before
you know,
I left
first it was-
Gunnersville, I've got a great neighbor, Rich. He said, man, I got some whopper poppers. I just got them in. He says, you want to try some? And I said, well, Rich, I ain't ever thrown one. He's like, well, I'll bring them over. If you use them, you use them. And I put them in my boat thinking, man, that might be good on a shad spawn or something. And I threw it. It was probably, I didn't throw it a whole lot. And it was probably about 11:30, I guess, on the first day of practice. I had it tied on and I fired out there. And I catch one probably, you know, 10 to 11 pounds. Well, I say I caught it, almost caught it, had it right to the boat and it came off. And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And I threw it around, and I actually had a couple more bites on it, but I couldn't get them to eat the bait. Well, I realized I needed to change the hooks on it. But I kept throwing it, and then I went to the other side of the lake on the second day of practice, and I threw it in the morning for about 2 hours and never had a bite. I still had the, you know, the original hooks on it. And then all of a sudden I hit a grass point and I catch an 8-pounder. I'm like, holy cow, there's something to this. So I ordered 3 more of this color, and I can't get them to eat it for the, you know, today was a little different, but for some reason in the mornings, you know, well, you could see on the morning, I mean, I had 5 or 6 of them just peck the tail. Then I picked up the Zora Spook, you know, and fired that thing out there, and it was just, you know, they ate that bait. So there's something to it that I haven't figured out yet, like a late in the afternoon bite that they just can't resist, and they don't follow it. I mean, they just eat the thing, you know, if they're going to eat it. So the reason I've stuck to it the whole time is because of the size that it catches. I think that's I'm not getting many bites, you know, but when I get one, I feel that, you know, the potential of catching a 7 or an 8-pounder on it is there. And I might go 3 hours without a bite like I did yesterday and then pull up on a point and catch a 7-pounder.
No better way to get confidence in your bait than catch an 8-pounder the first.
You know, and I definitely understand what Chris is saying. Having the opportunity to fish Lake Fork a few times in other tournament events, I learned real quick that if you go over there and you throw a massive, when you get a bite, it's going to. And I think that's exactly what Chris has found here is a lot of bites, just like I said earlier. It's all about getting the right bite. And when you dedicate an event to win, when you make the top 12, you kind of put it all on the line. You go out there and throw what you know is going to catch the biggest bass you can possibly catch. I mean, it's going to be shocking to me if Chris even lays it down. Have a 5 or 6 pounder to even give Kevin a run for the money. I mean, it looks like Kevin's actually caught another one since we started the live broadcast, so Kevin's even expanded the margin a little bit more. So, I mean, Chris knows at this point that he's got to catch big ones today if he's got a chance to win.
One of the things that's often said on stage, and we kind of laugh about it, you know, the swinging for the fence. Is that really, were you swinging for the fence, or did you just not catch him and it sounds cooler to say I was swinging for the fence? But in this situation, let me ask you this. Has Kevin VanDam made it a little easier for the rest of the top 12 to swing for the fence in the way that okay fish, and I might take a shot at this, KVD with almost a 6-pound lead, these guys know they're going to have to catch them.
There's no doubt about that. And, you know, the top 12 I made at Norfolk and Bull Shoals, I knew going into the final day I was in 9th place. The lead wasn't dramatic at Norfolk, but I knew my only chance was to swing for the fence. Kevin even made it more apparent He had such a big lead. He put the pressure on these guys. Well, really didn't even put the pressure on them. He allowed them to free up and go throw big baits, throw the things they knew that they have caught big ones on all week, and not worry about catching 5. I mean, you're only talking about a 12-point swing from first to 12th place. So it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but there is a big difference in a $12,000 or $15,000 paycheck and $100 grand.
All right, well, Paul Mueller on the water live right now. Mike McClellan, want to thank you for your incredible work here with us this morning, and we really appreciate it, and hope you're never here again for the rest of the year. You make every single cut, but it's going to be exciting to watch. Can Paul Mueller catch him? He holds the all-time record for the 5 biggest fish in Bassmaster Classic history. We'll see how it works out at the ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite.
You're watching the ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend, brought to you live by Toyota.
The competition is fierce, and the prizes are huge. The only thing missing is you. Fantasy Fishing presented by Toyota. Sign up for free and face fans from across the nation. Grand prize winner receives a Triton Yamaha package, including a Triton 189 TRX. MSRP of $37,293. The Classic and each individual Elite Event winner will receive $2,500 Bass Pro Shops gift cards, with the runner-up receiving a GoPro Hero 4 black camera. Sign up and pick your team today at Bassmasterfantasy.com.
Live coverage of the ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend will return after this short break.
29 pounds, 3 ounces! Edwin Evers here, 2016 Bassmaster Classic champion. In celebration of Lawrence winning the last 5 Bassmaster Classics, we're going to extend the Ultimate Upgrade promo. If you buy an HDS Gen 3 with Structure Scan 3D, we're going to mail you a $300 rebate. 5 Bassmaster Classic champions in a row. That doesn't happen by chance. That happens because these units are the best.
The ultimate predator has evolved again. Now Yamaha B.A.S.S SHO Performance is prowling the waters in 4 hungry, exciting new models. With their 4 valves per cylinder and double overhead cam fuel-injected design, these advanced 4-stroke predators are taking performance to a whole new level. Vicious, lean, efficient. B.A.S.S SHO. The pack is growing.
Your choice of fishing apparel can make or break your day out on the water. Added mesh vents for superior breathability. Moisture transport cooling technology to keep you dry and comfortable. And antimicrobial to keep you from smelling like your catch. With added SPF to keep you protected. We've added stain release to keep the blood or any other stains at bay. Our most technologically advanced fishing shirt for all the necessary dirty work.
We were born to innovate, to find a better way. New Berkley hard baits. New designs. Trigger-loaded actions. Mind-blowing colors. Because everyone wants to catch more fish.
Bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S today. Since 1968, B.A.S.S has been serving bass fishing enthusiasts with information and tournament coverage that make you a better angler. When you sign up today, you'll join over 500,000 outdoorsmen who love bass fishing. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, B.A.S.S cap, plus more. Call us or log on to Bassmaster.com to join Bass now.
You're watching the ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend, brought to you live by Toyota.
Oh yeah, about 3 more hours to go for Bassmaster Live. What will we see in those remaining 3 hours? Got about 5+ more hours of fishing for these guys as well. Chris Lane, second place right now, 1 fish away by Toledo Bend standards from our leader, Kevin VanDam. And here we go.
Who we do have confirmation does have a limit.
Both of these guys have
Mike,
limits,
the Such talked about it, so did Mike McClellan. That's a fairly large deal right there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Compared to where he was at yesterday.
Oh.
I mean, VanDam catches one of those big old melon-head slouches. It's over. It is done.
He had 2 fish as of 1 o'clock yesterday.
Yes.
So
if he catches...
big difference, huge difference.
If he catches one of those big ones that he has caught every day, it's ball game. Yes. Such, why do you look at me as if you have something to say?
I was going to ask you, how much does he want, or will be shooting for a century belt? He's never had 100 pounds in a tournament. He needs 25, what'd I say, 25 pounds, 4 ounces to get to 100 pounds. And he'd get a century belt, probably one of the last things to accomplish in his career since he's...
And I guarantee you Sherry wants one of those belts. Am I wrong? I guarantee she does.
I think maybe, yeah. We've talked about that before.
I think we were at a dinner where they were presenting them. She's like, why don't I have one of those belts?
You see why she's not here? I just sent you a picture on their Facebook. She and the boys are at senior prom, or she had a photo with the guys.
Oh, that was
dressed
this
up
weekend?
Yeah, last night, I guess.
You know, our guy Bowman has been texting all morning long, and a huge thanks to Steve Bowman. He has been with Keith Combs all day, and I think we're going to try to get Steve on the line to really break down what Keith Combs is doing, fishing up the lake a little bit from our takeoff. Bowman, do you have us right now?
Can you hear Steve?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're talking about guys who've caught 100 pounds. Here's a guy who's caught 100 pounds of bass in a Bassmaster event. And what have you seen? We talked to you about an hour and a half ago and had to leave abruptly. What have you kind of been able to sort out about what's going on with him?
Well, basically, I mean, he's got something that's working very well for him. He's got it to himself pretty much, except for a few locals here and there. But if you look at what's taken place in the last week or so, he's hitting basically what he's doing. If you look at, he's out in the middle of the lake, right on the river channel, and way away, and I'm talking about 3/4 of a mile away, is a bunch of flooded green bushes that had a bunch of shad spawning in them when the tournament started. But now we've had something like 2 days of really, really hot weather, and the shad spawn has kind of just slowly dwindled out, and the shad have just totally marched out here to the river channel, and they've been using these, what Texans and Louisianans call drains, but they're small creek channels, small indentions from the bank all the way out here, migration corridors, and he's right on the corners of those that are leading into the riverbank. And I'm sitting here 150 yards away, and our electronics are just lit up with shad. And obviously where the shad goes, that's where the bass are going to be. This morning when I pulled up on him, he was catching them. He was getting a bite every cast. Now that bite might have been a white bass. It might have been a 2-pound largemouth, and then every so often he gets hooked up into a really quality largemouth. But I mean, his arm and thumbs have got to be raw meat right now. As many fish as I've seen him just put in the boat and have to unhook. And he's a machine with that crankbait. I keep thinking about how Keith Combs and Kevin VanDam are arguably the 2 best crankers in the Elite Series when it comes to this kind of stuff and kind of going head to head. If this would have happened a couple of days sooner, then maybe it would have been a tit for tat thing. I think he's still got a long hill to climb, but he's catching the type fish that he needs to do that with. He caught his last 6-pounder not long ago and said, I'm going to have 30 by the end of the day. So he needs to have 30 and to even have a chance of catching up with Kevin at this point.
Bowman, if you can kind of walk us through what you texted me a little bit ago, where you really kind of compare this in a not so sort of way, but related it to the event that we had at Wheeler Lake a couple weeks ago. Talk about it.
Well, I mean, we saw that happen. You know, we saw the first couple of days of that event where the shad spawn was everything, and then by midway through the second day, Tiger Hero started catching them on the offshore bars and drops and so forth because those shad were leaving the banks and coming out. This is the exact same thing that happened at Wheeler, and you know, so I'm assuming that Keith kind of got onto this thing yesterday. He may have checked it some during the course of the tournament. There was no way that he could have checked it during the practice period because there was 20-mile-an-hour south winds that had 5 and 6 footers out here where he's fishing right now. So, but at what we saw at Wheeler with the shad spawn started to windland and those fish started hitting that offshore stuff, that summertime kind of pattern and things, is exactly what we're seeing with Keith Combs. And I mean, basically a mile and a half from here, which I can see, is the next shoreline, and that's where Hank Cherry stroked them the first 2 days. Now these fish, the biggest majority of these fish have pulled out here. And Hank's still catching some, and one of the benefits that he has is even though the shad is kind of falling off from what they're doing, these fish, there's still fish that live shallow, but there's also, I saw a big push in the last 2 days of bluegill in areas that we didn't see them on the first day. So we're getting ready to come up on that May full moon, and that's when the bluegill start spawning. And, you know, a lot of those bigger fish will hang around for that big bell to ring, while the others and the true slaunches, they're just going to slide on out here to these corners where these creek channels or drains meet this river channel and hang out because that's where the shad are. That's where what they call the yellowfish and the other things that you know, there's so much life out here under the surface that it'll blow your mind if you could just sit here and, I mean, it's worth watching a live show of just his electronics, I would imagine, if you could see it.
Steve, you may have said this and I missed it. Is this a place that he's had for a long period of time, or been in his rotation for weeks, even years, or is this something he sniffed out this week?
I think this is the first time that I'm sure that this is, and Zona will know, and those folks who are familiar with Toledo Bend will know it's the 1215 area. I mean, it's legendary. It's north of Toledo Bend. So Highway 12, Highway 15, or is it Highway 1215? It was Highway 1215 roadbed that came through here. But I mean, there's just a lot of structure. But the last few years that we've not had up here when we've come to this event, this lake's been really low, and most anglers just tend to gravitate towards that cleaner water, and this water up here is a little bit stained. It's got a little bit off color, and doesn't make it, you know, I mean, some guys, that just kind of blows their minds. What I've seen in my time covering all these bass events is that they'd rather be in the clear water. And not to mention, there's not as many ramps up here. There's not as many boat docks. There's not as many opportunities. I mean, you got to travel to get here. Where you can put into Housing Bay or 6 Mile or Arnold or Locust or any of those other places where we're seeing some of these guys down there on the lower end. And that's kind of what happened, I'm assuming, in practices, is that because you couldn't fish this area because of the wind, you didn't come out here, and you certainly didn't put in here and run up here. So he's got a lot of this.
Hey, Bowman, real fast, a lot of the offshore tournaments that we've covered the last decade, this time of year, you really see fish schooled up big time in size. If you're catching 3 to 5 pounders, you are catching 3 to 5 pounders. It almost seems like in this tournament, you're catching a 2 to 3 pounder or a 6 to 8 pounder offshore.
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen that consistency in size that you're talking about, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think the reason for that is that there's so many nagging fish here. When you go to a place where you have maybe 20% or half the percentage of fish that are here, then those fish that stay schooled up, there's just not they stay schooled up according to the size. But here, there's just not enough room for them all to stay segregated. So they're very, they're very mixed and matched and really Any cast now, and we expect it to happen. Any cast now, he can catch a 10-pounder.
Steve, that's
Since
great.
I've been on the phone with you, I've seen him catch a 1.5 pounds, or 2.5, and 2, and he's not got that 10, but it'll show up.
Steve, that's great stuff, both breaking it down and what he's doing and the place where he is. Keith Combs out there certainly making a strong challenge to put himself right there in the picture for winning this championship today, the final day of fishing at this ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite Series on Toledo Bend. A magical event, absolutely. And we see now Paul Mueller on the left who's doing basically the same thing. I'm going to ask you about this, Z. I mean, obviously there are plenty of places where this sets up. I mean, how do you find the golden spot? Do you have to find where they're pulling out from multiple areas, flats and creeks and the cuts that Bowman was talking about? Find where that all converges? You have to be lucky enough to luck into something like that?
I think you really just see the case of, and I might be totally wrong on this, but guys like Paul Mueller, and I'm going to actually disagree with Mike McClelland a little bit, where he said VanDam has so much experience here that he has, a lot of areas, spots in the bank. To rotate. That's not true. VanDam said, no, I don't. I have a lot of experience here, but I don't have a lot of offshore experience.
He talked about the number 4.
He's got 4.
Yeah.
He's got 4 offshore spots. He said, the rest of my stuff is predominantly shallow to mid-range, which has not been his gig this week. A guy that has a rotation of deep water spots, granted he might not have been able to check him in practice, is a guy like Keith Combs.
It's been a half hour since anybody's caught a fish and reported it on Bass Track.
Sounds like you want to see some fish getting caught.
Yeah, I do.
Can we help you out here?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what's happening.
Well done.
These two fellas we're watching here today. Hank Cherry, yeah, come on. Let's get on the train with Hank Cherry. Coming up there. It's been slow, yes, but he has punctuated it with a couple of good fish catches during the course of this morning.
No doubt about it. Hank Cherry got a slither rig going right there. Punch weight rig happening for him. One thing that did disappear though today, Hank Cherry has got off to a massive start early in this tournament, really putting a limit of fish in the boat within the first 90 minutes. That was not the case earlier today for Hank Cherry, but still loading his line.
Yeah, absolutely. Got him at 4 fish right now and under 10 pounds for today. So they've been running small and not as frequent as they have in days past for Hank Cherry. His weights have gone down incrementally by little bits each of the 3 days of competition previous.
Go ahead,
News alert, Kevin VanDam, solid 3-pounder in the boat, replacing a 1-pounder in the well.
Boy, there you go.
Which will probably have him up around 16 and a half-ish.
In there, and then, yep.
Earlier today, Paul Mueller not getting a lot of bites, but I'm talking about catching some dadgum stud ball.
Everything he's put in the boat, It looks pretty darn impressive for Paul Mueller, the fella who finished second the Bassmaster Classic back in 2014 on Lake Guntersville. This was earlier today, second fish in that flurry for Paul Mueller. You said his windows are very small. He says you've got to take advantage of them, but very productive.
Exactly right. There's a really, really heavy tree line that he knows these fish suspend in. So when they come in to feed, they'll come into this clear area on the inside of the tree line, almost stuff that we saw at Lake Hartwell, where those fish would suspend in those deep trees and then come onto a deep feeding flat. That is verbatim what he's been concentrating on. Bassmaster Live DB Championship
So there's
Sunday.
some fish catches, Mike Sucon.
There you go, Mike.
Thank you.
They were leftovers,
That's some
but I
more.
mean warmed up and served up nicely.
Some live ones.
Tom, some sweet stats right there.
Thanks.
Paul Mueller, rising each day. Hank Cherry been very, very consistent across the board. And I got to tell you, Hank Cherry has really mined the shallow water deal as well as anybody in this tournament, whether it be Shama Monroe or Chris Lane.
You
And has
concur
not-
with Steve Bowman that he's kind of fighting a battle against time here. Everything's running away from him.
Say so, and really the other side of it is, look, here's the best way to put it. One of these shallow water guys has got to catch one of those giants. I'm not talking a 5-pounder.
Oh, no.
They're going to have to catch
A share lunker 10 at
They're going to
least.
have to catch an 8 to 9 pound fish to catch VanDam today. VanDam's got a lot of time left on the clock and is culling right now. And here's one thing we've not seen shallow, except for I think there was one GoPro footage of Stephen Browning catching his 9-pounder up shallow. Besides that, the only person that's really caught 8 to 9 pound fish has been Kevin out deep. Such, why again do you look at me as if you have something to say?
They're there.
You seem loquacious. Did that work?
Seem
Tom?
what? Loquacious?
Did that work or no?
No.
Did it not work?
That would mean he was talkative.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't know what it meant.
Sounds a good word, though.
After yesterday, I'm trying to raise my game a little bit here today.
You're up
and
there.
No, I'm not. No, I'm. Am I? No.
No,
I don't
you're,
think.
you're more into it, focused, and not even drifting at all today.
No, I don't think that's true.
No.
At all.
Not at all.
Huh?
Bassmaster Live.
Bassmaster
Well,
Live.
see, this is the not knowing part that I was telling you about. Oh, I love it when they bite it.
You like cool slow motion
Oh,
shots,
yeah,
Such?
I wanna see it.
I'm
What
sorry.
is it?
You want to be fed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Feed me.
Fine. Take
Do
a peek
it.
at this.
Yeah,
Do it.
open wide.
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh.
That was his first bass from yesterday. It was just really kind of more of a cool shot than anything.
Watch that hook.
Little Wes Miller work right there, Tommy.
Yeah.
Fair to say.
Sort of a nice sort of lifestyle portrait there, Kevin VanDam.
Paul Mueller live.
Everything in this game is decisions. I mean, it's how long do you fish a spot? Do you try to figure them out? You know, these fish obviously moved, or they shut off to the crankbait, one or the other. I think more they moved. I think they went a little deeper. So, but I'm still marking a lot of bait. I'm still marking a lot of life, and that's a good sign. I mean, if the life moves away, that's one story, but it's still here. I just have to maybe change my presentation, and like right now I'm marking one on the bottom. I'm going to try to back off it and drag this Carolina rig through it. But these fish are moving, you know, they're feeding, and you know, if you pull up onto one of these areas and they're actively feeding, and a lot of times it's, you know, the predictable stuff is when they're on the top of it, you know, adjacent to that drop, that's when they're kind of vulnerable. And that's how it was in the morning. And then it seems like they just kind of slide off it. But I'm actually marking a couple really good fish right now, so this is good. I think I just have to drag this rig through there. But it's the type of deal where you could come back. I mean, I could leave this, come back later in the day and catch a couple more, you know. I have another spot I want to try that I've caught all my big fish off of all week. And, I mean, it would be a crime not to at least try it again. I tried it in the morning. There was nothing there. But the wind's blowing right in there. And now the sun's out, so I think maybe the sun might push them a little deeper and it might pull fish to that spot. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway. I think they were a little shallower in the morning. And the sun could be a good thing. It could put them right where I need to catch them.
with the reputation of being able to sneak up and clobber the field with a giant bag of fish from out of nowhere, as he did back in 2014, 32-3 on that day in the Bassmaster Classic, and almost got him there. He only missed winning that Classic by 1 1 1 ounce.
And what did he have the first day in that Classic?
Oh, not even a
fish.
third of that.
Didn't have a limit.
Fish, yeah.
Not have a limit.
Not even a third.
I believe. Oh, yesterday he started with a 7-pounder in the morning, and then he didn't catch another fish for hours. It was afternoon, I think.
And that's not what you like, Such.
No.
You want fish catches.
You demand it. Doesn't want it, demands it.
He's got to do good to make the Classic this year.
Good point right there.
Thank you, Fred.
That is top notch.
But I'm 2 bites away, 2 of those, like those 3, 2 bites like that, from making it an interesting day. And I'm not going to fish for small fish. I mean, I have areas that there's a mix, but you're mostly going to catch small fish. I'm just not going to do it. I mean, I need to catch 30 pounds. The only way I can do that is on a caliber like this. I have to figure them out. This is Championship Sunday. You don't fish chicken, you don't fish conservative, you just fish to try to win and try to catch the biggest 5 fish you can catch. I mean, sometimes it's good to fill out a limit. I had to do it yesterday, and that got me here, but it's like when you make the top 50, all you want to do is make the next thing, make the top 12. So whenever I make a top 50, I'm trying to catch the weight I need to make a top 12. And I said it, once I make a top 12, I'm going to try to win it. I mean, that's all you can do. And sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't, but you have to try to do it anyway. And I feel good that I have one more area to work with anyway than I did yesterday. And there's some hard bottom here. This is actually, I found a little patch of hard bottom I'm dragging this Carolina rig through. I finally found a little, and that's where I caught them on the crankbait. They were on that hard bottom, so I'm thinking whatever's spawning on this stuff, these bass are up here feeding on what's spawning here, and that's, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I catch one here on any of these casts. I'm going to take a few more casts through here. This is the best feeling bottom I've fished on this whole little area here. And I've marked some fish through there. It's just getting one to bite now.
Oh, the fixing to swing.
Just about the time of day Chris Lane would start getting his topwater
Good
bites.
point.
If you're just tuning into this tournament, this was the time of day that Chris Lane really started doing damage all week long.
Hopefully we're going to get some pictures from him and Kevin VanDam.
Is he
always
locked
moving.
up tighter than a drum?
I just he is. We
just got confirmation. Yep.
From the truck there, Dave.
I don't want to share lunkers.
Would you share your lunker, Tommy, or no?
Yes.
You would?
Yeah. Free replica
Such, would
mount,
you?
baby. Yeah.
Say it again?
Free replica mount.
Such, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. On that lake, there's spots where we can go and have it certified scales and weighed, and it goes into the Toledo Bend lunker program. You can get yourself in fact, next week, the Sealy Big Bass Splash is going to be there, and that's where they're going to award them. Last year, they awarded like 81. They have a group picture of 81 people with their
like Big
replica
Buck Night.
bass.
Yeah.
This year, they got 139 already.
Like Big Buck Night.
If they all show
There
up.
you
Oh,
go.
yeah,
Big
well,
Buck Classic. Like the Big Buck Classic. Yeah, it's about getting the genetic. You know my online name is? You know what it is? Gene Pool. That's how much I am into the whole concept of Cheryl Lunker.
Well
that is
done,
it. That is
Tom.
it. Mean Gene Pool.
Gene Pool. I like that.
No, it's Tom.
That is fantastic. Gene Pool. What is that? Some sort of a bug cocoon?
I think it is 17-year cicada casing.
Gene pool. Oh my gosh. You use that on the chat board?
Yeah.
The chat?
This and others, yeah.
Yeah. Understand.
There's a white lizard.
Well, still hoping, praying for some pictures. Chris Lane, we'll get them. And Kevin VanDam, Dave Mercer gave me an idea when we talked to him a little while ago. Said, if you're underachieving a little bit, just say, hey, I was swinging for the fences. That's what we're doing here today.
Yeah,
we're swinging
that's
for the
a
fences.
that's an interesting term. The most nonsensical term in the history of sports.
We're going to keep swinging for the fences. We're going to have you more when we come back.
You're watching the ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend. Brought to you live by Toyota.
Days, it's funny. I wake up in the morning and nothing else matters except where and when my first bite of the day is going to come. And we have so much going on in a tournament, getting gear ready, in and out of the truck and the boat, prep and tackle, all that kind of stuff. And probably one of the most favorite pieces of gear or equipment that I've got is my ARE Z Series cap, ARE's premier model, and it's easy to see why.
He's fished here for decades. He knows every hump, every drop-off, every contour. He's dedicated his entire life to understanding this single body of water, and he didn't know squat about it until 2 hours ago. AutoChart Live lets you build your own high-definition maps anywhere in the world in real time. Only from Humminbird.
30, 29, 28, tick, tock. 25 years old, and you're still laying in the mud. 15 feet in the air, that's where you feel most alive. 10 meter maze, waiting to wallpaper your truck. Better get out of town. 5, 4, 3. The all-new Tacoma. Toyota, let's go places.
The competition is fierce, and the prizes are huge. The only thing missing is you. Fantasy Fishing presented by Toyota. Sign up for free and face fans from across the nation. Grand prize winner receives a Triton Yamaha package, including a Triton 189 TRX. MSRP of $37,293. The classic and each individual elite event winner will receive $2,500 Bass Pro Shops gift cards, with the runner-up receiving a GoPro Hero 4 black camera. Sign up and pick your team today at bassmasterfantasy.com.
That one right there.
Think you could win valuable prizes from Bassmaster? You can't know unless you enter, and entering is easy. Go to Bassmaster.com.
Enter now for a chance to win a fishing trip with 2014 Geico Bassmaster Classic champion Randy Howe. Trip includes airfare, hotel, rental car, and $500 cash, plus a Triton 17 TX bass boat with Mercury engine, and Randy's gear from Lowrance, Daiwa, Bass Pro Shops, and much more.
You, the winner of a valuable prize? Could be. All you have to do to get your shot is go to Bassmaster.com and enter today and every day. Hey, it could be you.
You're watching the ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend. Brought to you live by Toyota.
I'm glad to be having a great week, and unfortunately I don't have my family here. My boys are graduating in a couple weeks, and today is prom night for them, so they're I'm a little nervous about that. I got twin boys, seniors in high school, pretty hot chicks they're going out with tonight. And I remember what it was like when I was in high school, so I'm going to be thinking a lot about them tonight. I know they're going to be having fun. Sherry's hosting a big group of their friends and stuff, and all their dates at our house tonight with a big cookout and stuff, so they don't have to go to a restaurant. And I sure hate to miss that. That's the tough thing about this business. Is you miss a lot of things at home and that, and all these guys, we all go through the same thing. So without great family support, you couldn't do it, and I'm really lucky to have the best family in the world. I've been doing it a long time, and I sure couldn't do it without them. I miss them today.
Kevin VanDam, on what you miss by being out here doing what you do. Not everybody's missing everything. We got a couple of pictures from some guys who are doing exactly what they want to do and still getting to watch the tournament.
I think that's one of our faithful leaders, Mike McInnes, and Michael Middleton, one of the producers of Bassmaster Live, at a dance recital. I love dance recitals.
Watching Bassmaster Live.
They're not missing anything.
No,
maybe a little bit.
Having it all. Having it all. That's
I'll tell you three people that aren't. The Such, Gene Poole, and myself.
Not having it all, but trying as hard as we can.
Tommy?
Yeah, prom's different now. Parents are involved a lot more, I think. It was kind of all about getting away from parents back in the day.
Say it again.
A great day. We got a limit, but I'm back in the area where I've caught a couple of big ones now, and a lot going on at home. Yesterday my boys had their senior prom. My wife, it's a lot of work to do. My wife hosted a formal dinner for like 20 of them total at our house, so they didn't have to go out. We do a top-notch dinner for them with really nice table setting and everything, so it's it's better than any restaurant you could go to for sure. And it's a lot of work to do, and I wasn't there to help with any of that, and most importantly I wasn't there to see them off or to see the other parents and see all the other kids. And some of the things that you miss out here doing this that I don't like, is when your kids are young and you can bring them along, it's great, but life on the road is not always all it's cracked up to be. Especially when the fish aren't biting. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this area here. It's got, a lot of people watch me catch them here, and you know what happens after that. But you got to check it. Timing is everything here.
There's the picture from the event. Kevin
was
talking about. It was a very nice.
Look at
how beautiful. Everything's in bloom.
Great looking kids. Good kids.
Good
Jackson
kids.
and Nicholas VanDam. Last year of high school.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I got them this morning from my wife, and it was they were looking good. I think they had a little challenging weather. Yesterday was kind of cold. Actually hailed and snowed a little bit, which is not normal for us. And so they had to kind of deal with that. Normally with everything's in bloom by us and they can get great pictures.
That's awesome. I went to prom. I looked like Lloyd from
We
Dumb and
hosted
Dumber.
that prom dinner at our house for all my nieces and nephews, starting with Jonathan. He was the first. For him and his friends, it's kind of started a tradition. And my boys are the last, so they graduate in 2 weeks, and thank goodness I'm going to be there. I wouldn't miss that no matter what, if it was a tournament or not, but it's actually falls where I'm going to be able to be home for it. So. You know, I try to I try to teach them from mistakes that I've made. You know, to tell them life lessons and things like that. But you know, I was their age once too, so I know how it is. Sometimes it's hard to take all that advice, but they're good about it. My boys are really good young men. They're very caring, and they definitely. Look out for those around them and everything. I'm really proud of them for sure.
Good stuff.
They've worked really hard. They are all signed up for college next year. I think Nicholas is going to be they're going to Grand Valley State, and he's going to be on the fishing team. Jackson's going to kind of see how it goes at first, but they like it. You know, they got their own boat now. Fishing's really good at home this time of year. Azona will be there, yeah. We have a big graduation party planned.
I'm going to be there.
Big graduation party planned.
Proud dad, proud mom as well.
We have a lot of family, a lot of friends, so it's cool. And they have a lot of them that have kids close in age, either just starting college or just about to. It'd be nice to get us a bite here.
I might dress like Lloyd Christmas at the graduation party. That or Potsy Weber.
Yeah. There you go. Make it special for the kids.
Don't worry. Usually do at those parties.
You know, I started this morning shallow on the shad spawn, and oh, hang on, I thought I had one there. Yeah, I started out shallow, and gosh, it wasn't great, but I caught 4 doing that. Spinnerbait, topwater, and that kind of goes away by 9 o'clock or so. I mean, you can still get a few bites shallow this time of day, but
it's drifting off.
Had it going so good there.
Where's that picture of Yoda again? Put it up.
Some wonderful thoughts. Kevin VanDam, him
Great
and Sherry.
thoughts.
It's a big weekend for them, and a big graduation coming up, and you're going to be there apparently.
I am going to actually.
So
yeah, I'll show up to any party.
Making your plans for that?
Yeah, there's one. Let me just put it this way: when the Van Dams have a party, it is a to-do, Oh
so
no,
I've heard.
That's what it is, Such, right there.
Yeah.
Locked up.
What am I sounding like?
Yeah, locked up tighter than a drum. Check.
Yes,
Gene Poole, I'm going to talk to you. All of our cameras are down.
Sure.
Once again, we apologize for that.
What? You're not. Don't lock up.
No, I wasn't locked up.
Yeah, now one fish.
Yeah.
He says, "Wish I could get a bite." Thought he was going to get a bite. You keep thinking, like, if he gets a 7-pounder now, is it done? 95 is going to be uncatchable.
Yeah.
If he
I
gets
think so.
one.
I think so. Hank Cherry's back up. But what I'd like to find out.
Y'all flip all the time.
What I'd like to find out from Van Dam, in all honesty, I'm being dead serious. No joking aside. Such, I'm being serious about this. I'd like to know what this win would mean to him compared to everything in his career. just because
Love to
it's
hear
been
that.
a dry
We had
spell.
your thoughts on that, and
It'd be huge.
and they were good. Yeah,
It'd be huge.
I want to hear his thoughts on it.
I
too,
really
though.
want to know that.
I'm sure he's got a unique
I
perspective.
want to know if
on it.
you've been over there, went pontooning or anything, and gave him a little pep talk. Z.
Honestly?
Yeah.
I asked him when he's going to retire.
That's not a pep talk.
No, it's not, but I was being serious. What else you got to prove, man? You won all the Super Bowls. You won all the MVPs. You can go into television right now and have the Kevin VanDam fishing show. And he looked at me and goes, "Oh, no, that's not a question right now."
Right.
But in all honesty, I mean, I would guess his next natural progression as Kevin VanDam is going to be the Kevin VanDam fishing show, I would guess.
That's what you're thinking?
Yes, 100%. Why, Suits, why do you give me that little
He could have had that years ago if he wanted a KVD fishing show. You know that, right?
I don't know that
sure
he's got
I
time to do that.
Yeah, but here's why I say that. The kids are going to be going off to college. Why not? Why not? Why would you not grab a trophy and say, "Hey, look, y'all, I'm done. I'm done. I've gone at this tornado pace for 20-something odd years. I'm done." And that,
Well, he's already the GOAT.
And to me, that just comes to competitive fire, man.
Yeah.
He still has that
Pile
competitive-
on.
But I'm gonna tell you, that competitive fire is going to go away eventually. It has to. I mean, you don't see that with Rick Clunn, but I can tell you, I don't see VanDam. What is he? What's VanDam? 48 years old? 48?
Is he that old? I thought he was 46 or 47. Oh,
I think he's locked up tighter than a
let's
drum.
see if we got something. Has he got a fit? No.
No.
Locks up like that, you think maybe something's pulling back?
It's important when you get a bite like to me.
Kevin, the question from the truck is, what would this win mean to you compared to all the rest of them?
I'm a long ways from it right now. I know I got to catch him a lot better, but it'd be, you know, everyone is special. And I think, you know, the older you get, each time you appreciate it even more. I can tell you it's been that way for me since day one. You know, sometimes you take it for granted. It's been a while since I've won an Elite Series event, and you don't get opportunities every day to put yourself in position. So I'd like to be able to close this one out. I know a couple of good bites, and they're there. I just had one right there too. They're just not eating it.
As we watch Kevin VanDam just getting note, Combs just called yet again. He has 3 over 6, a 3.5, and a 3 in his live well, just to stay. Somewhat accurate.
His problem is he has to make up 17 pounds, 14 ounces.
Point well made, Such. I was just trying to create some drama.
I think he's doing pretty well creating drama.
Go build a sandcastle somewhere else, maybe.
Come on, Gene Poole. That is you for the rest of my life, just so you know.
Good. Right. Good to know.
Tom,
I like that.
thanks.
Yeah, Combs and Evers catches in the last 10 minutes broke like a 50-minute drought.
That's actually not froze up. Kevin likes to hesitate his crankbait.
Yeah, that's
There's
just
over to Hank Cherry Live.
believe that. Okay, that one came off.
Back, this is live stuff again. Kevin VanDam.
If you're just joining us with VanDam, he's been really fishing really slow, tapering points, and what he says, clear points, clear hard bottom points. He's been rotating from a 6XD, 8XD, and a 10XD, and one of the other relations to VanDam, Paul Mueller, and Keith Combs. So where you find white bass, barfish, shad, he said where you find that mix, that is where you definitely find the biggest bass in this lake right now, at least what these guys are catching. But this exact spot that he's on right here, we saw him catch everything on day number 2.
There he is. Not very big, but he's right where he's supposed to be. I think the one I got in there is bigger than that. Better check. No, he's bigger. A little bit.
Different line you took right then, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the same line that I caught him on the first day, so I know the line here real well. The good thing about that 10XD is you can throw it into the wind. Pretty close right there. It should be good.
You would think when you see a guy with 90 pounds of bass that it was just a beat down.
Far from it.
And it is
That's very good.
The strangest 90-pound tournament we've ever covered.
To borrow from Rodney Dangerfield, that's 90 pounds the hard way.
The hard way. But it looks way better on paper. If you never joined us, if you just completely did not see any of this coverage and you just looked at the standings, you'd be like, wow, man, they have crushed
yeah, they
them.
murdered them.
That is really, really, really false from, you know, all the footage that we've watched the last 3 days. You hear VanDam making the comment with his cameraman Wes Miller. He's really fishing these little juice spots at different angles, different casts, different lines, trying to, because he said he's marked them here, you know, so far all morning long.
Dead on now. Good cast right there. Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, he brought 20 keepers to the weigh-in. You think he's caught more than 25 or 26 keepers all week long?
Yeah, I really do. I think on not Monday, but the first day of the tournament, I think he really caught them very well.
That was one.
Yeah, I think he caught them really well on day one.
Not since.
Caught a lot of 14 to 15 inch fish on day two.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I'm not recalling them.
But I mean, I'm just line burners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he called,
Not a good
looking at
cast.
the photo galleries on day one, he called some 4s and 5s.
Oh, okay.
What I always wonder in my head when you watch him do this, how many biggins do you think he's going by? If you look at what he catches, I'd love to see the bottom of the lake to see how many's around him.
He's been faithful to that crankbait today. Not varied from that.
No. And yesterday. Did a little worming yesterday, a little bit of hair jig. I said day one hair jig. Caught 2 of his big ones. But you just feel like it's going to happen again. You know what I mean? This is the time of day.
Yeah,
when it.
You're right on.
This is when it goes.